incubator, as many of you know, and we thank them for offering this space. My name is Lawrence Giglioli. I am the founder of LenderWise, which is the first peer-to-business crowd lending platform which invests in a digital commodity, so something quite new. So we're into fintech, and fintech is definitely a cool topic, a very cool topic, because essentially, thanks to Z West, our digital strategist, in less than 2.5 months, we created a meetup fintech group here in London and in San Francisco, and we have almost 700 followers in 2.5 months. And in addition to that, there are 2 fintech meetings tonight, here in London. So I'm very grateful and thankful that everyone has shown up. Thanks very much. The fact that you've shown up, and the fact that we have this social traction, that fintech has this social traction, for me is an absolute confirmation of the fact that we are into something true, we're into something real, we're into something that's changing the world, we're into something that Facebook and Google are investing millions and millions into. Companies like Lending Club in the United States, in 6 years, have drummed up $6 billion in lending, and now they are worth $10 billion, 100 times revenues. So essentially, we are talking about something that's changing the world, changing the banking relations, changing the way people do business. So we have a very provocative topic this evening, of course, talking about the comparison between banks and fintech. These meetups are absolutely open discussions. We want to stimulate dialogue. We are not promoting specific companies. We're promoting ideas, we're promoting updates, we're promoting innovation in general. So that's why we're here in Innovation Warehouse. We have some great speakers this evening. We will start with finance magnates, with Yani. After Yani, we will also talk with Market Invoice. Then we will talk with Goldex, which is a very interesting formula also. We'll have a panel discussion. We'll have tables, discussion tables at the end of this, so we're open to all kinds of discussions and what have you. So I would like to introduce Yani of Finance Magnates. Thank you very much.
Hello? Can you hear me without the microphone? Yes or no? Yeah. Okay, cool. I hate speaking to microphones. Thank you very much, Lawrence. So just to give you a very brief idea of who we are and what we do. We are finance magnates. About 3 months ago, we were known as Forex magnates. We're a company that's originally based in the retail Forex industry. We started a website, we started to write news about what was going on in retail financial trading. 6 years later, we are now the industry website for news related to retail, institutional, FX, commodities, equities, pretty much every asset class. We are the news source for what's going on inside the capital markets and electronic trading industries. On top of that, we also have 2 major events. One in Tokyo in July and one in November in London. And really, I want to talk to you very quickly about the event in November. It's going to be our 5th year running. And last year we had about 1,200 people, 1,200 decision makers, high level, C-level, VP level executives from all over the financial trading capital markets industry. We've got a great event. We are a real fixture on the calendar. We then rebranded our company as Finance Magnates and started to write a lot more about fintech. Why? Because so many of our sponsors, partners, customers effectively were, and attendees were financial technology startups 15, 20, sometimes 30 years ago in some of the technology they provided. Now they're huge, established, multi-million, multi-billion dollar companies that sponsor and exhibit and attend our events. We've realized that we want to really write and give a huge spotlight about and to the scene, the fintech scene. There's nowhere better than London to do so, because this is where everything is coming together. So the London event this year, we're going to have the fintech spotlight. About 25% of our massive exhibition room is going to be dedicated just to fintech startups. We're aiming to have around 60 or so there. Each one is going to have their own stand. And the reason why we're doing this is we started to look around all the major fintech conferences and events, and a lot of them were geared towards bringing fintech startups and investors together, which is hugely necessary. It needs to happen. Okay, you need money to start your business. What we understood and what we really realized, and what we're now starting to actualize, is we've got a room of 1,500 potential customers or partners, launch partners, beta testers, alpha, all these different companies who are established. We want to provide a platform for the fintech startups to come and engage with these potential customers. Okay, go to all the other events as well. Investors will be there. We'll probably have a few as well, just out of interest. But we are providing this platform. I'm going to be here all evening. I'm more than happy. I've got a couple, like a printout just to help to go away with, to help explain a little bit more about the event itself. I'm more than happy to speak to anyone if they're interested in having that platform and finding out a bit more about what we do. So that's us in a nutshell. I look forward to speaking to you later.
Thank you very much, Yani. So that's about information in this field. Now I would like to introduce a really cool company, which is actually a first mobile bank. So I'd like to introduce Tom Blomfield of Mondo. Should I turn this off?
Yeah, that'd be great. If you can't hear at the back, wave. Again, I'd like using my hands. Awesome. So, thank you for the intro. My name's Tom. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Mondo, which is a mobile-first retail bank for the UK. I was actually standing out there 5 years ago with my first startup, which was Go Cardless, which is an online payments processor, does almost £1 billion a year in direct debit volume now. I was standing there when it was pre-funding. It was still called Group A. It was a tool for hockey clubs to collect money from their members. It was before fintech was a thing, and we went on to raise funding initially from Y Combinator out in the States. We then raised $15 million from Passion Capital, Accel, Boulderton, and a bunch of other people. So that company's going strong now under the stewardship of one of my co-founders. I left and I'm starting Mondo. So Mondo is a bank that I wish existed. So I bank with NatWest, and they suck. So just sort of the only interaction I ever had with NatWest, just thinking back, the last time they contacted me was about 2 months ago, and I got an email which said, "This is your pre-notification of charges." Oh, thanks, NatWest. And then I clicked into the email and it said, to view your pre-notification of charges, go to our website. So, okay, brilliant. So go to the website. 2 weeks earlier, I'd exceeded my overdraft limit. So they'd waited 2 weeks to accumulate the charges and then slap me with pre-notifications. Like, cheers guys, that's really awesome. And all of the retail banks are based on this like broken model where they need to support literally billions of pounds worth of infrastructure spend every year and a branch network that spans the world. And to do that, they slap you with fees and charges. It's the only way they can make the model work. And cross-selling credit cards and PPI and mortgages. And it's totally, totally broken. What if there was a bank that was on your side, that got in touch, not to say we slapped you with charges, but hey, you're running low on funds, and in 3 days you're going to be overdrawn, and you have a choice now. You could take an overdraft out, and because you bank with us, we know when you're going to be paid. We know how much you spend on average, so you're going to need about £200 for about 4 days. That's going to cost you 50p. Do you want to take this overdraft, yes or no? If no, we can turn your account off, and we can just bounce payments out when you get to zero and not charge you. This seems revolutionary. It's like, but if you hadn't been used to the decades and decades of retail banking in the UK, this would just seem obvious. So that's what we're trying to build. That's Mondo. What I'm going to show you now is a possibly terrible idea, which is a live demo. So in terms of progress, we're a team of 15 based over in Passion Capital's place for the moment. We've raised a few £1 million in funding. We've got our final meeting with the Bank of England next week to get our license. And we have built a core banking system from scratch to support the real-time 24/7 nature of modern finance. This is our app based on that core banking system. It's from a few months ago, so this is data from May. If you want later, I can show you my live account as well. We have a bunch of debit cards around. We can sort of spend it. It's quite fun. So I'll talk you through this. I'm going to absolute whirlwind demo because we're on a tight time schedule here. So I'll probably only give you a 2 or 3 minute demo and then open up for Q&A. And then I think there's a panel later on. So at a glance, how much money have I got? How much money have I spent today? And this stream of stuff looks a little bit like a statement, but it's not. So you can sort of scroll down, and as you scroll, you see this sort of graph at the top. And what we found was that people think of this is actually slightly bigger than a month, and people think of their finances often payday to payday. Most of the UK lives within a buffer of sort of plus or minus about £1,000 of zero, ending the month just into overdraft or just in credit, a huge, huge majority. So people want to know when I'm paid, how much have I been paid, when's my rent come out, and this sort of glide path down to zero. And we do customer interviews every day, and most people get to about here in the month and totally lose track. It's like, how much have I got there? I don't know how much. It's sort of, do I spend? Is this going to be declined or not? Do I check? Even if I check my balance, it's 2 days out of date, so I don't really know what's hit. And then another insight is, so it's very faint line, actually weekends. A 5-weekend month is often more painful than a 4-weekend month. People work hard during the week and only spend during weekends. So we're trying to give you at a glance, where am I? And then you can sort of scroll up and scroll down. We do really sort of interesting stuff, like start to augment. If you look at your bank, you sort of compare your bank statement, we're starting to develop a much richer sense of what's there. So we've got the logo, we've got tags automatically generated based on the merchant category codes from MasterCard. So let's tap on that one. So not just £5.80 for transport, but where do you start your journey? Where do you end the journey? All of this data is available, and we're pulling that in from a bunch of different sources and aggregating it to help you understand your finances. What's my history for TfL? All my other spend. If I wanted to search all transport, why is there no real full text search on banks? I have no idea. Transport.
Sorry, can you start using the microphone, please? I can't hear you then. Just speak up a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Thanks.
Use both hands also.
Just speak up.
Okay.
Okay, I'll speak up. Sorry, I'm very bad at microphones. So I'm going to end in a second. I want to show you a couple more features. So for us, it's about banks have data, right? And data is how much you spent. Where did you spend it? And that's basically all you get. Maybe when you spent it. It's very, very hard to interpret that data. So you can go and grab loads more data, like where were you geolocated when you spent that thing? Was that close to the point of sale you were supposed to be at? Super, super useful. Or things like tags, or merchant logos, or you can keep going, right? Nectar points, club card points. There's so much data. So number one, we can collect 100 times more data and store it because we have a 21st century banking system. Second is insight. And that's what things like mint.com have done. And they've done an okay job, because the data's kind of sketchy, and they've done an okay job. So insight is things like, let's try and find something here. Insight, Eon, something's wrong with this transaction. Click on it. Your Eon bill is 30% higher than normal. It might be a water bill. Your water bill has shot up 100% this month. This was in the Guardian on Sunday. Go and ask a plumber. So it's sort of insight based on the spending behaviour, and that's kind of interesting. But the really, really interesting thing, I think, is moving from data to insight to action. And action is where it really, really matters. And that's where Mint and Simple and all these other guys who provide a veneer on top of banks have failed, because they simply are a view layer. They give you a pretty pie chart, and you look at it once or twice and think that's sort of kind of interesting, but why is this useful? If you can let people take action, or even automatically take the action on their behalf, you get some really, really interesting stuff. So, a crazy example, like you're out of contract with your phone provider, why don't you switch provider? Or it's like AI, you've already switched your provider and you've got the deal with them. Or you've got £1,000 left at the end of the month that you haven't spent, so you're up here and there's £1,000 buffer. Why don't you move that into Funding Circle and get 9% return as an investment, at risk? Or you want to save for your future. So put it in ISA with a single click of a button. Or I want a mortgage, and if anyone's got a mortgage, it's an absolutely nightmare laborious process, weeks and weeks and weeks filling in forms. All the data's in there. So instead, how about a bunch of mortgage providers come to you with pre-qualified offers based on your spending data, because they know when you're paid, how much you paid, do you ever go into overdraft, do you pay back your overdraft, do you spend on Ubers, do you spend on taxis, do you buy, do you shop in Waitrose or do you shop in Aldi? There's tons and tons of data there that you can put to use to make your lives easier. So, in a nutshell, that's what we're building. I would love your help to spread the word. We are Get Mondo on Twitter and getmondo.co.uk on the internet. In particular, we're looking for an awesome head of marketing. So if you know anyone who wants to help launch the best bank in the world, please get in touch. If I have time, I'd love to open up for 2 or 3 questions perhaps, and then we'll do a panel later on. Right at the back, sorry, apologies for being quiet.
How do you get the geolocation data along with the payment and
so the geolocation, there are 2 sources. One source is your phone, has a because we live in a 24/7 real-time banking system, the authorization message from Mastercard hits us, and we say yes or no. And the second it hits us, we ping your phone to say, hey, you've made a card transaction, tell us where your phone is. So we geolocate you that way. The Mastercard data also comes back with the postcode appended to the end of the MCC data, which you geolocate. Then you just match those. You do it's Pythagoras basically, with a bit of a curve. How far are you from the merchant? And if you're claiming you're at a point of sale, but it's in Manchester and you're in London, either it's fraud or the Mastercard merchants misconfigured their terminal, which happens a lot.
where are the profits coming from?
Overdraft lending. So that's why we're building the full technology stack because we want to deliver this experience, and we're going for a full banking license because that's the only way to make this business model work. Overdraft, so no fees, no hidden charges whatsoever. So overdraft lending on a clear, transparent APR is the way we make money. You look at people like, I love what Simple did in the early days. Their sort of vision and their passion for what they were doing was unbelievably inspiring. But they were limited to being a skin on top of Bancor, and it fundamentally meant they couldn't build a sustainable business. Same with Number26 in Germany, also great user experience. But if you're limited to being the skin on someone else's core banking system, it's much, much harder to make money.
Those platforms' advantages were actually aggregating the different accounts as well, so not just using one single account. So I guess, and also Mint itself is actually, it's working as far as I know, just by itself.
Yes.
So I guess what I wanted to ask is, are you going to introduce just as an account and overdraft service, or are you going to expand the financial services in time?
That's a great question. Not in year 1. So, but where I see this going is, it's the control center, it's the dashboard for your entire financial life. So the current account is the center. Now, it's naturally where the data kind of aggregates, because your paycheck gets paid into it, your rent, your mortgage gets paid out of it, you have a card that you get to spend, your direct debits are drawn on it, you pay friends from it, and at the end of the month you might have some money left that you can then move into or out of pots, basically. So we want to give you full control over all of your finances. So hook into lending providers, both traditional and the newer ones. We want to give you a view of, so as well as moving money in and out, give you a view of your entire financial life. So there's your mortgage sitting over there, you have an ISA here, you have a credit card over there, and give you that aggregated view. And the Cabinet Office investigation on open APIs, the recommendations it came out with, really will help in that. So basically, banks will be forced to impose APIs from which you can pull data. So yeah, absolutely, I think that's crucial. Right at the back.
So you're aggregating an unprecedented amount of data about customers.
Yes.
So that's going to lead to a number of data privacy concerns.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing you thought about it, what's your response to the numerous questions you have?
Yeah, so I think at a very fundamental level, it's your data, right? And you can allow us to collect it, or you can refuse to allow us to collect it, and we should, as a bank and as a responsible sort of citizen, respect those wishes. Secondly, we should only do with that data things that benefit you. So if we become a massive pipeline through which to bombard you with adverts, you're going to lose trust in us very, very quickly, and we're going to get out of business, which is a very foolish thing to do. Which is why our business model is not based on serving you ads. It's based on fair proportionate overdraft lending. So, A, yeah, explicit consent to gather the data, and B, only using that data with your consent again in ways that benefit you. A really good example is going to a price comparison site. Instead of going to Money Supermarket and having to fill out loads and loads of forms, you can imagine an OAuth style, connect with Facebook, connect with Mondo. Go to Money Supermarket, connect with Mondo, and it will analyse your bank statements for ways you can save money. That takes 15 seconds rather than filling out all these forms. You give them access for 2 minutes, you revoke it 2 minutes later. But absolutely right, it's a huge, huge sort of area we have to be very careful about.
If you only have one stream of revenues based on the lending, right? What if that falls back? What is your secondary option?
That's
You're not going to go towards advertising.
That's a good question. So lending probably broadly conceived is where we think we'll make our money, whether it's overdraft lending or fixed personal loans. We've submitted a business plan to the regulator which says it's overdraft lending. You're right, best laid business plans never work. So, I mean, I thought I was going to be a tool for collecting hockey club payments before. That was stupid. I think overdraft lending, lending very broadly conceived is something like £120 billion market in this country. I think down the line we'll also explore affiliate models. It's way, way down the line. I don't want to go into too much detail, but if you do buy a mortgage, there are profit shares there. It's early days, so.
How do you bank a cheque?
Atom were in the paper at the weekend. Atom Bank are launching soon. You either go to the post office or a partner bank like Barclays or HSBC, give it to them, or you post it in. We're still figuring that out. I think probably the agency route. So you go into the post office and just give it in. But ultimately, in the back end, they just post it anyway. We won't be issuing checkbooks. You can't write a check. Don't do that. Yes.
If someone defaults on their overdraft, effectively eventual overdraft repayments,
Yeah.
How does it work in terms of collections?
Great question. So we have a guy called Paul Rippon, risk officer, who's run personal lending and overdraft lending at 5 European banks now for 24 years. He lectures on personal credit and lending to the regulators themselves at IFS. It's complicated, basically being fair and proportionate and clear with a staged approach. I mean, there is no one answer, but basically treating people fairly and transparently. There are times when people can't pay back, and simply levying more charges on them is not the answer. A couple more?
Yes.
What is the hardest question you expect from next week's meeting with
I hope they're not watching. What is the hardest question? That's a good question. Hopefully we prepared pretty well, so there won't be anything too tricky. I mean, we've been engaged with the regulator now for like a pretty long time. It's a culmination of many, many meetings and hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of documentation we've submitted. So hopefully it will be pretty straightforward. I think fundamentally it's how do you know you're making something people want? And that can be phrased very differently. How we get the customer sign-ups in year one? Is this a sustainable business? Blah blah blah. But fundamentally, like, do people want this? Will they switch to it? And I think the answer is we've engaged very, very early with all of our customers. We did a Twitter campaign to find 5 beta testers who are out like on the streets now with cards and the app actually using it. So rather than building it behind closed doors, we ship something. I think it was Reid Hoffman who said if you're not embarrassed when you ship your first version, you ship too late. And we didn't ship too late. I was extremely embarrassed. But engaging with customers early. Great. Thank you very much, guys.
Yes.